There is a kind of man that nothing can touch, and it is not the man with the most people around him. It is the man who is completely at peace when there is no one there at all. Because the moment you need company to feel okay, you have handed someone else the keys to your peace. Most men have never once been truly alone without reaching for a distraction. The Stoics built their entire strength on the opposite, on being whole in an empty room. By the end of this video, solitude will stop feeling like a punishment and start feeling like power. There are 7 keys that turn being alone into the strongest place a man can stand. The 6th one is the one that quietly changes how you show up with everyone else too. But first, you have to understand why being alone feels so uncomfortable right now. Here is what nobody tells a man about being alone. The discomfort you feel in solitude is not the solitude. It is what the silence forces you to hear. When there is no noise, no company, no screen, the only thing left is you. And for most men, being alone with their own mind is the one meeting they always avoid. So they fill every quiet moment, not because they love company, but because they fear the silence. Seneca said the mind that is not at peace with itself will never be at peace anywhere. You cannot outrun your own mind by surrounding yourself with people. The only way out is through. You make peace with the man in the empty room, or you never rest. The first key. Alone and lonely are not the same word. Alone is a fact. It just means no one else is here. Lonely is a story you tell about that fact. It says this is bad and something is wrong. 2 men sit in the same empty room. One is suffering, the other is at peace. Nothing in the room changed. Only the story did. The Stoics trained to see the fact without the painful story attached. So, when you are alone, drop the commentary. You are not lonely. You are simply alone, and that is neutral. Change the story about the empty room, and the empty room stops hurting. The second key. Learn to actually enjoy your own mind. If being alone with yourself is unbearable, that is not a solitude problem, it is a self problem. It means somewhere along the way you stopped being someone you like spending time with. The fix is not more people. It is becoming a man whose own company is good. Read, think, build, walk, create. Fill your mind so it is worth being alone with. The Stoics were never bored alone because a well-furnished mind is never empty. When your inner world is rich, solitude is not a void. It is a room you are glad to be in. Become good company to yourself, and you will never be truly alone again. The third key. Stop running from the silence. Every distraction you reach for is a small escape from your own thoughts. But your thoughts are not the enemy. They are the only place real clarity ever comes from. In the silence, you finally hear what you actually feel and what you actually want. The Stoics sat in that silence on purpose, because that is where a man meets himself honestly. So you let the quiet come, without reaching for the phone to end it. At first, the silence is loud with everything you have been avoiding. Sit anyway. On the other side of that discomfort is the clearest thinking you will ever do. The fourth key. Never build your peace on something that can walk out the door. If your calm depends on a person being there, then your calm is always one goodbye from collapse. People leave, they change, they have their own lives and their own storms. A man whose peace is external is at the mercy of everyone he leans on. The Stoics built their peace inside, in the one place no one else could reach or remove. So you make your contentment your own responsibility and no one else's job. Enjoy people, love people, but do not make them the foundation you stand on. Build the foundation inside, and no one leaving can ever knock you down again. If this is landing, let me say one thing directly. If you are done needing a room full of people just to feel okay, subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it is how this reaches the men who need it. Then come back, because the next key changes how you stand with everyone. Now here is the key that quietly changes everything. The fifth key. A man who is happy alone becomes impossible to manipulate. Think about it. Almost every way people control you runs through your fear of being alone. You stay too long. You say yes when you mean no. You tolerate what you should not. All of it because some part of you is terrified of the empty room on the other side. The Stoic removed that fear, and with it removed every leash attached to it. When solitude does not scare you, you can walk away from anything that costs you your self-respect. The man who is fine alone is the only man who is truly free in a room full of people. The sixth key. The most important work of your life happens when no one is watching. Every skill, every ounce of discipline, every real thought is forged in solitude. The crowd sees the result. The empty room built it. The Stoics understood that a man is made in private and merely revealed in public. So you stop resenting the alone time and start using it as the workshop it is. While others fear the quiet, you build in it quietly, relentlessly. The hours you spend alone are not lost. They are the foundation everything else stands on. Guard your solitude, because it is where the man you are becoming is actually made. The seventh key. Turn solitude from something that happens to you into something you choose. There is a world of difference between being left alone and choosing to be alone. The first feels like rejection. The second feels like sovereignty. So you begin to schedule solitude on purpose, the way you would any important thing. The morning walk with no phone. The hour of quiet. The evening that belongs only to you. The Stoics retreated into themselves deliberately and came back stronger for it. When you choose the empty room, it stops being a place you fear and becomes a place you rule. Choose your solitude, and you will never again be afraid of being alone. Here is what nobody tells you about a man who cannot be alone. He spends his whole life quietly negotiating, tolerating, and staying, just to avoid the silence. He calls it being social. It is really just being afraid. Every compromise he makes to avoid an empty room is a small piece of himself he gives away. Peace in solitude is not something you are born with. It is something a man builds, in the quiet, on purpose. So remember the 7. Alone is not lonely. Be your own company. Sit in the silence. Build peace from within. Kill the fear that controls you. Use solitude to build. And choose it deliberately. Do that, and the empty room stops being a threat and becomes the strongest ground you stand on. A man who is complete alone can never be held hostage by anyone ever again. If this gave you even one moment of peace with your own company, subscribing is how you say, make more. I make these for the man who wants to be whole with or without a room full of people. Master solitude, and you will carry your peace with you wherever you go. I will see you in the next one.